Hello, everyone. A couple of months ago, Tucker Carlson had an interview with Caitlyn Jenner. I'll put the link in the description below if you want to watch the whole thing. It goes for about 11 minutes. But there's a few statements in it that I wanted to address. And if I remember correctly, there were three main points that I wanted to make in closing.
We have a murder rate that's out of control right now. Already this year, we've had 9 trans women who have been murdered since the first of the year.
So firstly, I can't accept the claim that it's a murder rate that's out of control when it's 9 trans people in a population of 320 million people.
We have a suicide rate which is 9 times higher than the general public in the trans community.
Suicidal thoughts in most cases would be indicative of a psych disorder of some sort. Now, I'm not suggesting that trans people are trans because they suffer from a psych disorder, but you making that claim doesn't lend itself well to the argument that trans people don't have a psych disorder.
And I sometimes get very disappointed with Trump, especially when he went up against Title IX and they repealed Obama's equality on Title IX.
I wasn't aware that Title IX or parts of Title IX were repealed, but what I do know is that Title IX was being abused. Legislation that can be abused to perpetuate injustices and wrongful convictions is legislation that needs to be repealed.
And Jeff Sessions has been very kind of anti-LGBT. I know on March 10th there was a letter sent to him to try to prosecute the murderers of these trans women as hate crimes, which has been done in the past, and he never even responded.
It's an unfair and unjust accusation to describe what you just described as anti-LGBT. Just because he doesn't capitulate to your demands to be given special treatment doesn't follow that he is anti-LGBT.
I wonder if it's not just enough to prosecute someone for murder. Is that not enough? I mean, since, everyone's an American and all lives are equal, the lives of transgender people and the lives of everyone are equal, why wouldn't it be enough just to prosecute murder?
Yeah, in 2008, Ken Buck, congressman from Colorado, was the first one to prosecute somebody under hate crimes. Obviously, the verdict is a lot more difficult. It's a lot tougher on a hate crime issue than it is on just a regular murder.
Then if it's going to be prosecuted as a hate crime, then there needs to be a particular focus within the murder investigation as to the motive for the crime. For example, if a trans person were to be killed because their neighbour, for example, harboured an irrational hatred of trans people just for being trans, then okay, you could argue that that was a hate crime. But if the person kills their neighbour for the primary reason that they keep holding flamboyant disco parties and singing Gloria Gaynor's I Will Survive at 2 a.m, and the neighbour becomes enraged at the constant noise and thinks, yeah, fuck it, this time you won't survive, and it's because of the noise that's driving them mad that they commit the murder, then that's not a hate crime against trans people.
And too many times trans women who are murdered, they're almost brushed off to the side. A lot of times they think it's only a trans woman, look what she was doing. Or
bullshit. Provide a citation and some evidence that the murders of trans people are taken any less seriously.
And the murderer received a lesser sentence because your loved one was not a member of the trans community, you'd say, well, that's kind of unfair. I mean, we're all Americans.
Yeah, it is unfair. But we've got other issues too. Our murder rate is just so high. Right now, we've got that I'm really concerned with. Kind of the next move for the Trump administration is Mark Green.
I can't provide any evidence of the valid point that you're making, so I'll just change the subject now.
Calling me a trans person as a disease. I hate to tell Mark Green I don't have a disease, okay?
You see, if he referred to you personally as a disease, I would disagree with that, and I would agree that that's discriminatory. But inversely, I would argue that the type of principles that you seem to fight for, where you feel that your feelings are meant to take precedence over other people's observable truths, I'd argue that the promotion of such a mentality is a disease, a societal disease.
I'm fine. Everything in my life is good. I've been very lucky. But what I'm fighting for is the next generation coming up so they can have it easier for them. So that's where the fight is. I mean, with our suicide rates and all the problems that we have, yeah, we got a lot of work to do and a lot of trying to for people to understand the issues.
Right. Caitlyn Jenner, thanks for joining us tonight. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Okay, so I said at the beginning of the video that there were a few points that I wanted to make. Firstly, I can't speak for other people and how they feel on this issue, but this is how I feel. I fail to see how you being trans does anyone any harm at all. So if you want to do that, you want to feel like you're a woman, you want to dress like a woman, call yourself Caitlyn, describe yourself as a woman, that's fine, do whatever you like. But beyond that, you're going to get nowhere with me, and I imagine a lot of other people, and at least from my perspective, here's why. I'm under no obligation to accept you as a woman or address you as a woman because you're not a woman. And I won't be compelled to perpetuate a lie so that you can feel better about yourself. Let's say, for example, in 5,000 years' time, they dig up the bones of Caitlyn Jenner, and by means of whatever medical procedure is preferable in the day, they test your bone fragments to determine what sex you were, and buried along with you there's a stone tablet that was chiselled out by Gary Awesome that says, "The person that lies here is a man." The genetic and or chromosomal tests that they run on your bones are going to return a finding that you were a man, no matter what you identify as now or what you describe yourself as now. Chromosomally, you are a man. There's no escaping it. And when they dust off the stone tablet that I buried with you, they are going to say, this Gary Awesome guy was telling the truth. And it's that point of truth that brings me to the final point that I want to make. When you go beyond dressing like a woman, behaving like a woman, and feeling like a woman, to telling other people that you are a woman, and insist upon other people accepting you as a woman, even though you're not, you are perpetuating a lie, and I would argue that you're perpetuating that lie to placate to the notion of a social construct. And I'd argue that it's the forcing upon yourself of living out that lie and the internal knowledge that you are actually living out a lie that does the most to contribute to any suicidal thoughts that trans people might have. And it's the idea that a lie should be accepted as the truth that represents the fundamental logical inconsistency within the intersectional philosophical paradigm on the issue of gender identity. To expand on that idea, the truth is bound by facts, and it can't go beyond those facts. But a lie, in this case the lie of gender expression, has no limits because a lie can go anywhere. Whilst a lot of people might get a laugh of or are even sick of hearing of Lauren Southern's "I identify as an attack helicopter" meme, I believe that it's a profoundly significant statement. Once you've broken the limit of the truth, then there are no limits. When you say that I'm a woman, when you are actually not, then you may as well say that you are an attack helicopter. A biological male who insists that you recognise them as a woman needs to have people front up in their faces who say, I identify as a refrigerator, as a box of matches, as a garden chair. And if you won't accept that I'm any or all of those things, then I will campaign to have your failure to recognise my gender expression criminalised so that I can pursue, prosecute and persecute you for your refusal to accept that I am the inanimate object that I am actually not. Only then, when their own ridiculous assertions are thrust upon them that challenge and are in opposition to what they espouse, might they get the message about how fucking annoying they are, not because they're trans, but because they're authoritarian bullies who think that they're entitled to tell everyone else what to think.